Hi everyone, it's me. It's it is me, Uranus, and it is me, Neptune. And today we're gonna talk about this one thing that always comes up. Was Sailor Moon ahead of its time when it came to having selves that were unstraight? Well, I don't want to know if Sailor Moon was the first show to ever do it. There may have been some other shows, but so I don't know. Now a lot of folks out there tend to believe that a lot of folks out there tend to think that Sailor Moon was ahead of its time and that having folks that were unstraight was something. Well, yes, I would think so. Now, first off, keep in mind which offshoot of Sailor Moon you're watching. If you watch the Pioneer CLOVERWAY offshoot of it, we were Nearkin. But if you watch the Viz offshoot or watch the Toby one with the words, you would have known that we were lovers, that we met a long time ago, fell in love with each other, and then became sailor fighters later. And that was true. So whatever offshoot you watch is what it is. And a lot of folks tend to scathe the whole Nearkin thing and say, why did Cloverway or Pioneer come up with that? Well, the only guess I could come up with is for why Pioneer or Cloverway, because both of them offshooted the show. Half of the English world saw the Cloverway offshoot, the other half saw the Pioneer one, but they were handled in the same way. Now, my guess is that they could not do what Deke did, since we were already women. So shifting our words around was out of the asking. So the only thing Cloverway and Pioneer could do was to say that the grounds to why we were so near to each other is that we were near kin. Now, I'm not going to go and say that that's not true, that folks who are near kin each other have a near bond, which is true. If you do care about your kin enough, then you're going to have a good bond with them. But a lot of folks kind of saw us doing things and saying things that would let folks know, oh, they're not near kin. It's more than that. And yes, we were unstraight. Yes, I don't know when we knew that about each other. I don't know when we learned that about each other, but it must have took a long time for us to learn about ourselves. And then we met each other years later when we were at Learn and how we all became sailor fighters, and you know how that went. So Cloverway calling us Nearkin was the only grounds to why they said that we were always together or why we were always working together or whatever the kinship was between each other. Cloverway and Pioneer didn't want to get in that same scathing and shaming team that Deke would have gotten into. There are folks out there who believe that being unstraight, whatever offshoot there is, there's many offshoots of it, is wrong. There's no truth to back it up, but they believe it's wrong. And they believe that anything that has to do with it is wrong. They think that you can't do it on the Farsi or you can't do it on the show or a play or a film. They just think it's wrong. Now keep in mind, they have no truth to make it true though, but they believe it. And Cloverway and Pioneer did not want to get scathed and shamed by these same folks that would have scathed and shamed Deke. So Cloverway had to come up with some way to see that if it did happen, at least they they've had their booty covered. You're right about that, Uranus. At the end of the day, there were many ways that they could have handled it, and I think that calling us Nearkin was the only way they could have done. Because keep in mind, it's not like they could shift our words around or anything. We were already women to begin with, so they couldn't do that. I mean, there wasn't really much they could have done. Yes, they did shift around a lot of things You know, they did say that at one point I had a boyfriend named Robert, which I only talked about in one following when we're talking about, we're talking about kissing and everything. But that was about it. So they had to do those little things to make seem that we were straight, at least as far as Deke and Cloverway went with it, so folks couldn't shame them and scab them. Well, you could say that now today more folks are more open-minded and more trusting of it, and that's why Viz just left it the way it was, because not that there aren't still folks out there that still don't. Probably are still some folks out there who think it's wrong, but at the end of the day, that's their thought and belief, and it's sad if they believe it. I mean, if it is wrong, that's the one's thought or belief. There's no truth to make it true. You know, they can't say it's a sin or anything, and if it is, well, that's their thought and belief. But at the end of the day, being called Nearkin is good. Because I could think of a lot of other shows that were handled, a lot of other ways that Cloverway and Pioneer could have done it, or chose to done it. They could have just not even done the whole show at all. But they found a way to work around it. And at the end of the day, I think that was for the great. Oh, yeah, you're right about that, Neptune. Before we end the film, there are going to be some folks out there who are going to believe that it was all handled badly. But I don't think it was. Yeah, there might be some folks that scathed the whole Nearkin thing, and some folks that shamed it, thinking that, Cloverway and Pioneer were thinking that they handled it all wrong. But keep in mind, at the time when Sailor Moon was out, the first run of Sailor Moon, the Deke, Pioneer, Cloverway, there were a lot of folks that were younger and they were watching it. And their bears were watching it with them. And some folks might not have been happy to hear that there were two folks that were unstraight. And keep in mind that being unstraight, there's nothing wrong with that. But there are some folks out there who believe it is wrong. They have no truth to back it up, but they believe it. So Deke and later on Pioneer and Cloverway made scene that if any scathing or shaming would come their way, that they could say, oh no, they're near kin. They got a kin bond with each other. No, they both had former boyfriends at one time. No, look, yeah, they might be together, but they're near kin, and that's why they got that kin bond. Are they unstraight? Oh no, I wouldn't say that. But you see, at the end of the day, it is what it is. And being called near kin, which I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but everyone knew watching the show, a lot of folks knew watching it, that we were not near kin. They knew that. So at the end of the day, I think it was handled in the way it could have been handled. Before we end this film, there are going to be some folks from that followership, or they're going to say that it wasn't handled right, or whatever. But that's their thought and belief. But I think that Cloverway and Pioneer, because they both offshooted the four followings of Sailor Moon, did the good work they could do. So being called near kin, don't make a big deal out of it. I mean that was the only thing that Pioneer and Cloverway could do. They couldn't shift our words around because we were already women to begin with. So I think they did a good job with it. What do you think about it? Let us know. That's the end of our film. Follow us over here at Sailor Moon for Life. Watch the last film we made yesterday over here. Sarah Uranus, Sailor Neptune. We'll see you later.